Hello everyone, this is Kyle Brandt from the project Molitoth. Prog Sphere has invited me to tell you a little bit more about myself and the band, as we are part of the PROGOTRONICS 46 compilation coming out soon. So I'm probably known better from my work as a vocalist in the post-metal band A Light Within that has released this 3-part concept collection. I've always been a big fan of concept albums, with many of my favorites being from Pink Floyd, Dredge, and Tool. I think that when you can put together a grand collective story that all connects, there can be an extra layer of magic. And I don't say that to take away from non-conceptual albums. I love those as well, but it always just seems a little bit more special when everything connects on a deeper level. If you don't know who Daniel Tompkins is, he's the vocalist for the popular prog metal band Tesseract, among others. Back in the era when he was with Sky Harbor, he was offering one-on-one vocal training, and I took advantage of a few of those sessions. Then he went back on tour with Tesseract and put together a website and community full of tips and tricks on vocal health, warm-up routines, and strategies to become a better vocalist. I really studied these techniques frequently, which helped me level up, especially in the live setting. Dan at one point used the headline, "The Singer's Lifestyle," which I really connected with. It brought you into stretching routines, muscle tension release, breath control, and even what food and drink you're putting into your body. They all play a huge part in performance. So I'll plug Daniel's website, daniel-tompkins.com, if you're interested in improving your vocal performance. The original intent might have been to write parts for A Light Within, but I found these ideas that I had didn't mesh well there. So they sat in a song bank for a few years until COVID hit. At this point, A Light Within was on a hiatus, as well as the local music scene. So I made a decision to play around with the pieces a bit more and see what I could do with them on my own. During the process, I reached out to a couple of my friends in the local scene to see if they wanted to help me out, and I got lucky with some great responses. They really helped me out in some spots that were lacking on the album, but in the end, it all came together. To be honest, there wasn't much of a future plan for Molitoth in 2021. I toyed with the idea of taking the project live, but with COVID still an issue, I didn't find it worth the effort to do. Meanwhile, my friend Madeline sent me a few demo ideas that she put together, and I sat on them for a few months, not really feeling it, until one night they all just clicked. I had a moment of clarity and heard the potential. At the time, this would have been tracks Eviscerate and No Surrender, probably on the album. After I started to dive into the re-recording and production of these tracks, we fell into a good collaboration and ideas just kept flowing from there. More demos turned into songs. It just felt good and fun. After writing the Tribunal mostly on my own, I was pretty exhausted. So when the album You was coming together with Maddie, it was refreshing to have someone else involved in the writing process. Overall, it just felt more fun to bounce ideas off each other and collaborate. Maddie did the majority of drums on the demos, but as the songs were all finished, we really wanted to pull in a really good drummer. So we reached out to our friend Sam, and he committed. Sam's awesome drummer. I highly suggest you give him a follow on social, especially if you're into prog math rock such as Polyphia, Chon, and the like. He's been featured on Drumeo and collabs frequently with some major guitarists online. So plug Instagram.com/Sam Sartorius Drums. I'll put the link below. You ranges over a few topics, from politics and the acolyte to watching a friend lose a battle with cancer on The Maze of Existence and Dissipate. However, You is really about self-accountability, realization, and empathy. As the listener hears the term you throughout the album, they will think these statements are directed at someone. However, if you can imagine singing these lyrics while looking into the mirror, you becomes the reflection of yourself. So I remember a saying back from when I was a kid that went something like, if you point a finger at someone, you have 3 fingers pointing back at yourself, which kind of drove the concept. I've always been a fan of progressive music, and as a musician living in the modern era where everything seems to have been done already, I just seem to gravitate towards music that involves more complexity in song arrangement. But at the same time, I really love a huge catchy chorus, so I'm assuming that's the alternative metal influence you hear. Just gotta love those big catchy choruses. Simple answer, synth, and lots of it. There's typically an underlying synth melody in the background to help set mood. I've had an opportunity to dive into huge band stems such as Tesseract, Vola, Catatonia. They all involve a crap ton of synth tracks, and after seeing that, I just learned to do the same. Working as a collective has mostly pros, but has a big con as well, and that's that I have to adapt with other people's timelines. So I've just had to learn to be really patient to an extent. People have everyday lives and obligations, so there's a certain alignment that needs to naturally take place when writing and recording parts. As a sole member, you only really have to be reliant upon yourself, but that really gets draining as well. So. Well, as previously mentioned, I get drawn into progressive music, and when I first heard Sisters of, I was instantly blown away. I was thinking, holy shit, this is coming out of my small hometown. What the hell? I dove into it, and over time made friends with those guys. We did some collabs that really forced me to be more creative as a vocalist. Aaron Coker was doing the lion's share of the songwriting and production, and what really was the main inspiration for me to attempt my own solo album. That said, if you love instrumental prog metal, you'll really enjoy this band. They're really hard to find if you search them out online because all the search comes back as the Sisters of Mercy. However, if you go to sistersof.bandcamp.com, you can find them. You'll love their music. I'll put a link in the video below. Sometimes music scenes can be harsh, bands get compared, talk a lot of shit, don't get a lot of support, but in my experience in the Kansas City music scene, when I was playing live, every venue and other band that we played with has been supportive and had a lot of fun. The venues host really well, the audience is all around great. Big shout out to Record Bar, probably my favorite venue in the area, and rest in peace Riot Room, who we've seen a ton of good shows, played a ton of good shows there. Performing all these shows in the scene has really helped me gain confidence on stage, something that can be tough when you're first starting out. I just learned that it can take time and it can be a slow process. You work on things, little chunks over a span of time, many days, and then eventually at the end the pieces all come together to form the final product. Invite all the ideas, give them all a try, figure out what works and what you don't like, and toss that out. But I'd always say be willing to try new things and suggestions. Lyrically, I was driven to write a couple songs based on watching a friend battle cancer. I tried to put myself in his and his family's shoes and write down feelings I would have if they were happening to me. So next time you listen to The Maze of Existence or Dissipate, the lyrics might make a little more sense after knowing that. I think like a great amount of bands in the modern era, we just collaborate via online file sharing. Maddie and I write a song demo and send it back and forth to bounce ideas off each other. And then after those are done, we finally send it over to Sam to replace the programmed drums with real drums. Nothing groundbreaking. Obviously, we wish we were fortunate enough to live in the same house, writing in person every day, but we're all old with families and jobs, so this is how it's done. And honestly, we're quite fortunate to live in an era where we can do this via technology. Otherwise, this project probably wouldn't even exist. Well, there are bands out there that strive to be technical. They contain virtuosos who are bored otherwise. For myself, I just do what sounds good to me. I let my influences bleed through my choices, and certain areas a listener could be like, oh, that sounds like so-and-so, but I think if you listen to my whole catalog, you're going to start hearing many different influences, which I think makes an overall unique expression. I've fallen in the same trap with other bands where I've listened to one song and thought to myself, man, they sound like whoever. But after a while, I give it more listens, it grows on me, it turns into something I love, and a lot of times those bands turn into some of my favorites. Right now we're in the demo writing phase of album 3. I think Maddie and I have about 7 or 8 songs that we'd like to finish up, but it's going a bit slower this round. It'd be great to be able to take this project live someday, but honestly I'd need to get a lot of traction and demand for that in order to spend the time and effort to make that happen. So a lot of get-togethers live, a lot of practice, a lot of just hard work. So if you want us to do that, make a demand for that, and someday we hope to make it happen. Thanks to Prog Sphere for sending over the questions, and thanks for your time and ears for anybody who took the time to listen to this. Enjoy.